Welcome to our Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. It's intended especially for solopreneurs. And this morning we're going to be looking at managing your email contact list. We'll be right back after this. Well, hi everyone. This is Lowell Ann, your host of the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. Greetings, panel members. Nice to see you all here. So let's get started as quickly as we can so we can get to our discussion topic. So I'll get us started by saying that in my coaching and consulting work, I love working with solopreneurs who want more from their business. Together, we overcome that feeling of overwhelm and the procrastination that results from the overwhelm. And we look at making that business mastery plan workable and bring it into a joyful reality. So let's see, who can I pick on this morning? Well, Vivek, you were here first. I know sometimes you're here earlier, and so you might be a little bit more prepared than somebody who just came on a minute ago.
Namaste. My name is Vivekanand. I am proud to share my belief with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. I aim to bring time-tested wisdom and happiness together into your business and life by unifying, simplifying, and amplifying simple technology and tools. Wake Technology Private Limited is my company. Together, let us wake up our potential. So that's about me. I'm in England. It's 5:03 in the evening. The weather has been good today. It's 21 degrees centigrade. Not raining. Yesterday was totally raining. Whole day it rained. Today it's not. So, yeah.
Right on. So, as we get into our topic this morning, we're going to talk a little bit about the way Vivek is able to help simplify. He's been able to help me simplify. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So, welcome here. So happy that you came, Vivek.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
So, David.
Good morning, everyone. I'm David with Affordable Websites for Small Business and United Country Sauk Valley Realty Team Plannery, where we sell real estate, and I build websites for small businesses. The weather here is same as he's got, or same as Vivek has. It's around 20 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, you've got the translation already.
Yep, did it. I went right to Google and converted it right away.
Oh, right. So, just for the benefit of those who just came on, we've been chatting before we went live, and all of us ended up venting about customer service. So you sound like you've mellowed out a little bit, David.
Yep, it's time to mellow out and enjoy myself and put the stress behind and figure it out later. Usually it comes to me after that. So.
Dear. Well, sometimes it helps to do a little bit of venting and you get it off your chest and you can put it away. So.
Yep.
Oh, dear. So glad you're here, David. And
I also monitor the chat and keep us updated on any websites that need to be put in chat. So.
Thank you so much for doing that. Right on. Well, Alana, it looks like your room is in the sunlight, so...
Hello everyone, Alana here from Ireland. My website's ALB Digital Marketing Solutions, where I build websites for local clients, and I also help them with their blog posting and their SEO and social media. I also have another website, emptynesterblog.com, where I help people outside the local area and within the local area make money online. So that is me, and yeah, we're having decent weather today. I have to say, I'm not going to complain. I even have a t-shirt on today. I don't have my normal big hoodie on that I wear when I'm freezing around the house. So finally, it's 57 degrees. Woohoo!
In Ireland.
In Ireland, yeah. Fahrenheit, by the way.
Right. So I'm happy you're here, and I understood from you that you are expecting a phone call. So feel free to just take care.
I may have to jump off at some point. Yeah.
we all have to take care of business. That's why we're all here. It's because we've got business. So
That's it.
right on. So I'm glad you're here, Alana. So
Me too, thanks.
Javita.
Namaste, all of you. I am Shubhangi from India. I have two websites, reikiamages.com and one about affiliate marketing, that is Advantage Affiliates. And in India today, the atmosphere is very cool because it started raining from yesterday. So
Oh.
it's a very nice atmosphere here.
Some relief for you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right on. So
I'm very glad to be on this show.
all right. But it's really lovely to have you here. So thank you.
Thank
Right on.
Same.
So Fred, how are things in California you are in right now, aren't you?
Yeah, you're correct. A little bit different compared to Victoria. What's the temperature in Victoria today?
My phone says 18 degrees.
All right. Well, it's currently 31 degrees here in Southern California, going up to 39, which I think is about 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ooh.
So I got my exercise in this morning before it gets too hot. So I thought I better do that before.
Mm-hmm. Good
But
plan.
I'm normally in Victoria, but as of last Wednesday, I moved down to spend 2 months with my my daughter's family here, and it's wonderful.
Right on.
So I'm enjoying it a lot. What I do is promote youth group programs for young people, particularly since all the pressures they're facing today, unbelievable amount of pressure on them, and help them with communication, build community, leadership to help them become the leaders that our world really needs. So I love working with young people. It's the highlight of my week every time I meet some groups of young people.
Mm-hmm. So Fred, would you call the group, your target group or the group that you work with, would you call them millennials or groups?
Generation Z.
Generation Z. Okay.
No, they're past. Millennials are the older generation.
Okay. Right.
They've been born about, I think it starts around the year 2005.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In that early 2000, those are the group that we're talking about. They're in their teens or they're in school, elementary school.
Right.
So Generation Z, totally different. They're the first generation. Millennials did not have the internet as these young people have. So it's really, they've been seeing social media all their life.
Yes.
So it's totally different than millennials as well. And the pressures on them are even more. This is an interesting generation for sure.
Well, and the reason I asked that question, I heard something on the radio that this week that I thought was really interesting. They were talking about the concept of co-housing and how, I mean, it's apparently quite popular in the U.S. and there was a kind of a prediction that it would spread here and that it may be that it's also quite popular in Europe as well. But they concentrated on the millennials and they looked at all the traits and the things that they want to do. And I found it really interesting when they said that the millennials are not interested in possessions. They don't mind living in little small places where they can't store a lot of junk, etc. But the concept of community was really, really important to them. And I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? And so I think I read somewhere a bit of a comparison between millennials and seniors. that they share a lot of the same opinions and traits. So anyway, it will be interesting to see what Gen Z, what sort of a social situation that they will want.
Well, in the States, I guess they call them Generation Z.
Yeah.
In Canada, call them Generation Z.
Yeah.
The one thing that I recall, there's a lot of studies, and I follow a fellow out of Atlanta who does a lot of work with Generation Z. And the one thing that I found fascinating is they really respect the elders. I mean, the grandparent generation. For I don't know the exact reasons, but there was a lot. They seemed to relate a lot to them. Interested in finding out more about their lives when they were young. So it's fascinating.
Yeah. Wow.
Good morning, Jay.
We've got to live a lot longer, don't we? Just so that we're out of curiosity, so we can see, how things evolve.
Exactly. I agree totally with you all. It's actually a fascinating time in the world. What's going on and what's changing. It's wonderful. I'd love to see what the young people are capable of doing. They're very capable. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of changes. You're right. Let's live as long as we can to watch what they're up to.
Yeah, right. Oh, so I'm glad you made it all the way from California this morning, Fred. So Jay, how are things in Langford?
Good morning. Things are good. Things are magical. So, for those of you who want to know, my name is Jay. My company is Magic Studios, and we help people get started in the world of online marketing through coach, consulting, and training. Happy to be here, hailing from beautiful sunny Langford, where it's a balmy 28 degrees. Sun is shining. Beautiful wind coming from the ocean. Although it's certainly not as warm as where Fred is. I think we're supposed to peak up to 100 there, 100 Fahrenheit. So.
Yeah, I know.
But thank you for inviting me.
Well, glad you made it. So, folks, when's the last time you cleaned out your contact list? I took a little bit of time this morning, early time, to go back and see what Mira said about contact lists, and because she was, when we're talking about email marketing, that was one of her chapters. She talked about how important it is to make sure that your contact list is current and works really well. So that was what sparked the idea of talking about our contact lists and what we do about them, etc., etc. So I did a bit of research about my own contact lists, and I discovered that I have 2,015 names in my Google contact list. And that contact list, or part of it, was imported way back when I was using Outlook, Microsoft Outlook. And when I moved over to Google, I exported from Outlook and imported into Gmail. So there's a lot of names in that contact list. And I got worried because some of my research said, oh, well, when you're sending emails out to, big groups and people don't respond, etc., how that's going to impact. So I got worried about that. But then that email list, I have them in categories, so I know how I got to know that person, and I use it now. Even sometimes if it's old and I maybe not connecting with that person, but sometimes I'm trying to remember a name, and that's a good place to do the research. God, what's that person's name? I remember meeting that person such and such, and I can't remember the name. Or the other way around. Where did I meet that person? I know that person, but what's the connection? So I don't clean out my Gmail contacts or my Google contacts for that reason. However, then I went and I looked in my Mad Mimi, which is an autoresponder. and really looked at it carefully and was absolutely thrilled to realize that MadMimi really helps you manage your email lists. So anybody who unsubscribes gets put into a certain folder, or if there was a hard or a soft bounce, it gets all of those emails get put into a folder. And then you can create other folders for specific purposes and so forth. So I realized that I'm in pretty good shape when it comes to MadMimi, partially because of what that autoresponder does for you. So so that was okay. But then I started looking at Chipmunk. And of course, some of you know that I use Vivek created I wouldn't call it a platform, a tool, I guess we would call it, for me to stay in touch with all of you and the people who have been guests on this show. Or who want to be a regular viewer, etc., etc. But I began to think about that, and I realized that I have a number of regular viewers and a number of people in that panel member. And I'm thinking, you know, I really should. They've been there a long time, some of them. I really should see if I can figure out whether that person really still wants to be in that list, because I'm really conscious of not needlessly filling somebody's inbox. And as Mira said in the chapter that I read this morning, what we don't want people to do is just not bother reading or just delete. Partially because they don't want to hurt your feelings or whatever. So I think it really is important that we know whether the people we're sending emails to really want to receive it. So Vivek and I had a conversation yesterday, I guess. I haven't done anything about it except that Vivek has created a companion tool that goes along with Chipmunk. And what did we call it? Vivek? Elf. Thank you. So the companion allows me to go in and import all of those people out of Chipmunk into the Elf and to send them an email asking them, I'm going to be asking them, do you still want to be informed? Would you like me to take you off this list? What would you like me to do? Because I think, and I need to do it within Chipmunk, because when people added their names to that list, we promised that we were not creating a list that was going to be used in any other way. So Vivek has created this lovely little easy to use companion that is going to allow me to do that. So that's my story. Now, what about the rest of you? Who has cleaned out their email contact list? What do you do with it? David wants to speak.
I have just cleaned out Team Flannery's email list, and we dropped down to just below 100 emails of people that are interested in what we're talking about on our deal. But everything else, I'm making a contact list, and still need to get past the point of getting emails so that I can clean out the email list.
Yeah, so it's really important that the people that receive notices from us or emails from us, it's important that they want to receive it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we did. We had close to 2,000 emails, but there were a lot of dead ones that just weren't have moved on, and they're no longer interested in buying houses, and they're settled, and they don't want to have information about houses, so we
Right.
dropped them off. So
And you give a perfect example. So, all of this is going to vary to some degree by the type of business that we have. But your example is a really good example. I mean, once you're not in the market to be looking at houses, why would you want to receive emails about that?
yeah, it's a strange business because you get real personal and you get really involved with people, and then you're gone. And if you keep up with them, you give them an email once a month or once every 2 months, they still, I'm done. I don't need you anymore. So they tend to want to not be bothered.
It's like dating.
Yeah.
It's a short, meaningless relationship.
Yeah, where you get all the information, all their personal information.
Good comparison, Jay. So, what about everybody else? Fred, for example, I know I receive your newsletters, or I guess it's a copy of a blog, and we've talked about this before about whether it's a newsletter or a blog or just a personal email. I mean, there's slight difference between all of them. But do you manage your contact list, and what do you do about it?
I don't do very much on it. I just try and acquire, and just going through Mira's book, the one that you mentioned, she talks about re-engagement, which is what I think you just mentioned, that Vivek has allowed you to send out emails. One thing that came to mind while you were discussing, for example, the real estate market. Some people may still, even though they've moved, might want to move up. So I guess you could categorize them and say, look, maybe in 5 years' time, and you might want to at least keep them aware. It's like Joe Girard, the guy who sold more cars than any person. He's in the Guinness Book of Records, selling more automobiles than anything, because he knew people would go and get a new car every so many years. In some cases, some people keep their car for 20 years. They're probably not interested. So you've got to give them the opportunity to re-engage. And that's something that's interesting. Even maybe in the real estate market, certain percentage of people, not all of them, once they have a house, they know they're going to stay there till their children are growing up, and then maybe once again. So there are times to know that you should at least keep them on a different track. Maybe they're not interested in what you're doing today because you've already sold them a house. But in the future, at some point in time, statistically, a certain percentage of people move again, and may want to move up or whatever, or move down if their children have gone. So there's something to manage, and that's what I came to mind when we were listening. But so far, no, I haven't done a lot, and because I've been following Mira's book, and I want to start with the homeschooling and doing a mailing thing. This is a good topic for me as well. What do I do?
Well, and I like the fact that you brought up that re-engage thing. In my own situation, my list that I have in Mad Mimi, I went in and kind of looked at those that are there, and I realized that some of the people in that list are fairly new, relatively new. But there's still some old ones that were there a long time ago when I used to do a lot of work with government people, etc. in the north. And so some of those people, there was a period there where they may not have been terribly interested in what I was doing, because I did tell them at one stage of the game that I'm sort of moving into working with solopreneurs who want to do something in their retirement. But now, as I think about and look at some of those people in that list, they may be ready to move into that, or just about ready to. So, yeah, it's really important to kind of, well, first of all, know something about that, the people that are in that list and why they're in that list to start with, and then as you progress, or as you change, or as they change, then there may be a reason to re-engage in some way. So I'll probably do that. Yeah.
And I think Mira in her book recommends sending a series of emails to them. You just say, oh, they haven't been interested, just cut them off. You re-engage them and say, maybe you're not interested in this, but I'm doing these others. Would you like to be kept on that list where I maybe only send something out, very occasionally? But because you've got some track record with them, the chances are they might be interested in dealing with you if they're going to that stage. And that track record is viable. I mean, they say they had great experience with you, then they would come back. So
of course,
I think managing your list, not just cutting everyone off because they haven't looked at your or been engaged with you in any way for a year or so, or whatever the time is. I think to do the re-engagement, as she says, and then maybe categorize them. So it could be valuable because they know you, and they might say, wow, she did well for us now, and in the future, she could do that, even though it's something we could potentially be interested in. So give them that opportunity before you cut them.
Yeah. But as I think about that list, those people who unsubscribed or bounced, it's the bounced ones that I'm kind of interested in, because some of them had government emails at one time. And it strikes me that they maybe are not with government anymore, but I'm sort of thinking to myself, I wonder how or if I can find some way to connect with those bounces. I haven't thought that through as yet. So, I mean, when somebody unsubscribes, you know that they're no longer interested and they just want to be clear of it. But the bounce ones are of concern. Some of them were what they call soft bounces, and some of them were hard bounces. So that may mean that they changed email service, or their inbox was full, or, I mean, who knows? So it will be interesting to give some thought. Does anybody have any ideas around what you could do with those hard and soft bounces?
Yeah, absolutely. So it depends on how recent the
bounce was.
Yeah. So for example, if it's someone who's changed jobs, government jobs, typically they'll have an auto reply saying, okay, well, I don't work in this department anymore. Here's the new email. And assuming you receive replies with the email that you have set up in your Mad Mimi, you would obviously receive the replies, and then you can then update accordingly. If it just straight up bounces, then typically it could be that there was, and it was a government email, there could have been words or that prevented it from going through. So there's a firewall of sorts. I've seen that happen many times. So in that case, they just don't accept marketing emails, and it's usually has nothing to do with what you say in your email. It's actually typically the result of the sender. So meaning like ConvertKit and Aweber and Mad Mimi, they just block those sources because they know those are marketing based emails. So when it comes from a specific server, so that's the soft one where it just comes with no, not letting you through, not happening. In that case, I mean, there's really nothing you can do about it because it's up to the mail server recipient. So, another thing you can do is, and this is a little more advanced, but you can actually import your email list into your Facebook ad set. And if you were ever to run any ads and you wanted to set up a certain audience, if that person's email is also that person's email on Facebook, they would then be part of that audience. At which
that-
point you can then reach out to them saying, "Hey, if you've got an updated email, let me know." So you could message that through Facebook.
That's a really worth considering, because there's so many people that are using Facebook now that that would be worth a try. So I'm also noticing that Kathy Pop is out there in the watching the video. So welcome here, Kathy. It's been a while. So you said something like you segment your lists to send different emails to different lists, like a re-engagement, only to those who haven't opened your emails. Open rate plays an important role in deliverability. You're so right about that. So, and she's also saying soft bounces also can also be due to server glitch. So watch how often it bounces. Good point. Right on. So that's a good how-to for sure. So what about others? Javita, what about you? How do you manage your contact list?
I have a good number of people on my list, mainly because of Reiki. And in a month I get some new subscribers, but unfortunately they don't engage with me. Means, they are on my list, they receive my list mails, but they don't contact with me, don't engage with me.
So can you tell whether they open the emails that you send?
Yeah, they open the emails because it mainly about Reiki sessions, and every week I send them Reiki healing. So they do open emails, but not they actually contact with me, or they don't reply with me.
So it's sort of like a one-way thing. They're there because they're interested in what you have to say.
Yeah, can I respond to that, please?
Please.
So engagement in email is few and far between, meaning it doesn't happen very often, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that what you're sending, isn't valuable to them, because if it wasn't valuable to them, they would unsubscribe. So even if you ask them, it's like, hey, let me know what let me know, or hit reply or something like that, ask for any kind of engagement. Even if you do that and they don't, just the sheer fact that you're doing that and you're asking for engagement is a good thing. So just ask for the engagement, don't expect it, because people typically just don't reply to emails when, like, marketing-based emails, but they see that you actually say, hey, hit reply if you have any questions, and then as a result of that, they're going to stay on your list, and they're going to stay, and listen to your emails and stuff like that. So.
The other thing I find is that no, we're talking about two different things, and I like, if we think about sharing our blog posts, and the blog post has comments open, and you invite people to add something to the comment area. I found that it's really quite surprising, because you may not hear from a person for a long time, and then all of a sudden you struck a chord somewhere, and they drop a comment, a reaction, or a question, or something within the comments. So they may not reply to the email that went with the link to your blog, but you can tell whether they went to the blog and read it, and then sometimes you get a comment from them that somebody you haven't heard from for a long time. So it's tricky.
Kathy was asking if Javita was getting clicks on her links through her email.
Yeah, I'm sending them links in my emails.
So then they are sort of engaged in a sort of an arm's length way, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes I ask what they prefer. They will like to have a general Reiki session or animal Reiki, or what kind of Reiki session they will prefer. But that's what I'm interested in, what the people like most about it.
Yeah, and that was one piece that Mira said in the book, that if you're going to ask questions, don't ask too many.
Oh.
Well, don't ask too many at once. Like, just ask one question and let them answer that one question.
Okay.
So, and she said the same thing about your calls to action. Just do one call to action, because if you put too many, then they get confused and they don't do anything.
Okay.
So
That's a great suggestion.
yeah. So it's I have to admit that that 300 tricks or something to email by Mira is really worth reading, actually more than once. I picked up quite a bit of information from going through there. Now the trick is to go and Fred is nodding, is to go in and enact some of the things that she recommends. It's one thing to read it and say, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea," and the other thing is to go and actually do it.
It's like I go to a real estate conference and they give us all these great ideas, and you come home and then you got to enact at least one or two of them. Otherwise, the conference was useless.
Exactly. So now, Alana, what about you? How many email lists do you have, and how do you manage them?
I actually don't manage my email list at all. Yeah, I think it's kind of hard for me to even address this topic because I've had a lot of trouble with my MailChimp account. So I think that's one of the reasons why I have kind of neglected it, is because I haven't had time to do anything with it. But I am of the mind that if people are not interested in reading your mail, they'll unsubscribe, and it's really the onus is on them. So I personally would not worry so much about filling up someone's mailbox, because to me it's like if they don't want to receive it, they can unsubscribe. So I'm kind of that mind, being a little proactive there. So, but I also really like the idea of repurposing your email account and getting in touch with them and maybe offering them something else, or explaining that your business is taking a slightly different direction, and maybe they would be interested in this as opposed to that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's all about knowing who they are and maybe why they joined your group in the first place.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. But as I'm sitting here thinking about all of this 2,000 email addresses that I have, and I kind of wonder whether I wonder what the reaction would be if I were to take maybe 4 or 5 people out of one category and sending them an email and saying, I met you a long time ago. You're in my email, in my contact list, and I'm kind of curious to know, what you're up to now, and just in case you're curious about what I'm up to now, and try, some. engagement and see where it goes. I have no idea what will happen. I mean,
Well, I mean, I think it's a good idea because you never know. A lot of people, as Jay has said, don't respond to mail. So if you engage with them and actually ask them pointed questions and say, is there any, like, I'm thinking about my own list and I'm thinking, okay, I can actually see who opened what mail, and the drop off, like I said, it would have been a drip campaign. And so everybody opens up the first one and 50% might open the second one, and then it drops down to 30, 20, etc. So if you connect, the people you want to engage with are the ones that didn't open them, and maybe say, okay, are you having trouble in a certain area, something I can help you with, and see if you can re-engage them.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's another really good point you bring up, Alana, that those statistics, those typical statistics that we see in those drip campaigns. How many, I mean, they were obvious.
A lot of people, when they first sign up, they're, they can't wait to get that mail and hear what you have to say. But then when they get the consecutive ones, or, maybe they're just not as jazzed as they were at the first one. It's like anything.
Well, and of course, the other thing that pops into my mind about that is because I have one drip campaign that sends out something once a week, and maybe there's too much time. Maybe it should be every other day, so that you keep them engaged. There's less time going by, so maybe once a week is not often enough.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because it could be almost like cold calling. They open it on a Monday, then boom, that doesn't come around again until the following Monday, and by then they've been moving on to other things during the week. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So I guess that all comes back to the whole testing thing for sure. Yeah.
Can I jump in? May I have the conch?
Yes, you may have the conch.
Is yours, Jay.
So I'm not sure if everyone realizes this, but when it comes to email marketing lists, so whether it's Aweber, Constant Contact, Mad Mimi, whatever, so when someone unsubscribes, it goes into a certain repository. It's still within your account, and it still counts as a human being that's on your list. So most email lists have a tiered pricing based on how many people you have in your account. So when you do not purge your unsubscribed people, you are still paying for those people. So because when you get to that kind of next tier, so for example, like you get 2,000 emails, the moment you get, 2,000 people, the moment you get 2,001 people, boom, your pricing tier goes up. Even all the unsubscribed people. So it's very important to do this. And I do this actually once a month, is I go in and delete the people who unsubscribe, because you're paying for them. So, so it's super important to do that. Now, that's with email marketing lists. In a situation with David, for example, as a realtor, I would not purge emails, because when you purge purge contacts, because when you purge contacts, who knows, maybe 10 years from now, they're going to want to buy a house from you. So I think in David's case, a CRM is more appropriate for your type of list versus just kind of ditching them, like the same thing with Fred, where Fred might have a group of young adults that take his program, but maybe those young adults have younger siblings that are not ready for his course, his training yet, but maybe say 5 years down the road they are. So again, maybe a CRM would be appropriate for Fred in Fred's case. The whole thing with email and email marketing and CRM, which stands for Customer Relationship Database. It really depends on the situation. It really depends on what it is that you do. In my case, with email marketing, I have a certain set of people on a list that are related to learn how to start an affiliate business, learn how to make, earn an income online, start an online business, et cetera, right? So I have that segment. I also have my Magic Studios client database, right, which is a completely different thing. I use a CRM for those type of people, right? So to keep that organized and to keep my workflow and my sales flow working and going. So it really does depend on the type of business that you're in, the message that you're doing, and that's really, really important. Now, I was actually going to be writing. I didn't know what the plan was today, but I was actually going to write an email about actually Mira's 300 things, and I was going to write that. If you want, I can do it live in front of you. But
Sure, go ahead.
If we're kind of doing this, if we're doing this conversation,
Yeah.
So all right,
Go for it.
Okay, hold. Just give me a sec.
Yeah.
I gotta stretch. I gotta stretch and warm up first. That's what I always do before I write emails.
So while Jay is doing that, can I just jump in for a quick sec?
Yeah. Yeah. Please.
So in relation to what Jay was saying about David, it kind of made me think that if you keep all those contacts and continually send them out information, you're not necessarily targeting them, but what you can be doing is keeping your business in their mind, so that if they hear of someone looking for a house, they can say, oh yeah, I was in contact with this guy Dave, and he sent me a mail, and here's his contact info. And so it's kind of a soft sell, because you're not selling to them, but you're kind of keeping them in mind, so keeping yourself in their mind, so if they run up against anyone that's looking for something, they can give you a call.
Yeah. Well, and then there's always asking for referrals. Yeah.
Number one, Kathy again commented, maybe move them to a list that gives home repair, energy saving tips, such just to say
stay on their mind.
Stay on their mind. Sorry. And I do that. And that's what my email list is getting, is a monthly newsletter that goes over how to prep your home, how to save energy, and just stuff like that. General information around real estate, not necessarily real estate, but it's around real estate and your home and whatnot. And we don't purge 100%. What I meant to say was, I took them off of that list. We still engage with those people at least once a year to let them know that we're still around and that we're still, that they were part of our business, and we appreciate them, and stuff like we'd invite them to the yearly party and so forth and so on. So we do still maintain them, but the main email list, I dropped them down to people that were actually responding.
Right on. Okay, there is Jay sharing his screen. Are you there, Jay?
Okay. I am there.
Okay.
Yes. I demand silence. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so what I was doing was this. I was going to send an email out to my list to let people know about this particular book. And it's going to be a short email. So here's how, and whenever I write a broadcast email, I actually write it in Google Docs. Just because it's just easier to write in, right?
Yeah.
So I go subject at, and my, let me make it bigger here so everyone can see. There. Is that better?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. So this email is tip number 175. That's the subject. Tuesday. Now, the reason why I'm putting that in the curly brackets is because I use Aweber to send my marketing email out. The cool thing is it has lots of little tags that you can add that pull data.
Right.
So in this place, it's going to say happy, and then whatever day it is on their side of the planet, it'll say that.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, if you're in Australia, it's the next day.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I always like to start with something like, hey, hope everything's great. What have you been up to? Kind of start that little bit of a engagement, not expecting any kind of results.
It's chat is what I call chatty.
Banter, yeah, like
Chatty banter.
Morning talk show banter, It's like Regis and Kathleen, Okay. And then, so I go, oops. So I will extract that information.
Right.
The actual tip of 175. Okay, so happy Tuesday to you. Hope all is well on your side of the planet. What have you been up to? So what's the deal with number 175? Nothing other than a super secret ninja email marketing tip. There's the tip. I guess it's not so secret anymore. Since that is the case, I will reveal my source. Only if you share this email with someone else, as it will also help them. So what did I just do there? So what I've done here is I'm encouraging them to forward the email that I'm sending to them to someone else. Okay. So, and the reason why is then that way, because my affiliate link will be in the email, so that if they share the link to someone else, then that potentially pursues another affiliate sale.
Right.
Okay.
So you're saying reference email tip from book. So would that be a quotation of some sort, Jay?
Correct. So I would go in the book, which I've got to pull out my Kindle, and find tip number 175 and say the title.
Oh. Okay. So as Jay is writing this, I'm also noting that he's got separate paragraphs, really short paragraphs with lots of space, etc. And in another chapter, Mira talks about the way to set your email up in such a way that what did she call it? She said to appeal to the skimmers.
Skimmers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like grammar and formatting is out the window when it comes to emails.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as you can see, I'm using lots of like so and hey, what's up? You know,
And
very
contraction.
casual.
What's my source instead
Yeah,
of what is
exactly.
my source. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very
It's
yeah.
chatty.
Yeah,
It's conversational.
That's exactly it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it reflects who I am and
Yeah.
and how I converse with my audience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I'm going to drop my first affiliate link. Now, I don't know if you realize this, but many authors have an Amazon author page, which is what you're seeing right here.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of people don't realize is you can actually make this page an affiliate link. When you're using the site stripe here,
Yeah.
so when you have the site stripe bar within your Amazon Associates account, so you can then literally go to any page and make that an affiliate link.
Mm-hmm.
So all I have to do is go
Copy the text.
copy that, make sure it's
Yeah.
the right store and tracking ID, copy that,
Yeah.
and then link. You see here, there's even a reference here, but this is not my affiliate link, right? So I'm going to pop it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff. Right. Now the reason why I'm doing that and not directly to the book yet is because someone might go here and they go like, oh, 1 hour content plan, that looks cool, and then
Yeah.
they, you know.
Of course, we some of us know that book is also really worth a read.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So second. Title this. There we go. Oh, and by the way, I put all my broadcasts in a folder in my Google Drive,
Mm-hmm.
so that way I keep myself organized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so you're gonna put a specific title in there too. Aha. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I do notice the time. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So why don't I just kind of summarize, because the last thing I'm just going to do is the call to action here. So here we go. So the subject line is this email tip is number 175. You know, it's kind of like it's ominous. Like, well, what are you talking about, Jay? Right? So it's some people will call it clickbait. You know, it's to get people to open it up.
Raises curiosity.
Yeah, as opposed to buy this book. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That would not entice people to click.
No.
So this part is creating engagement. It's like, hey, how's it going? You know, the banter. So what's the deal with the number 175? Nothing other than a super secret ninja email marketing tip. That will be the tip. And I guess it's not so secret anymore. Since that is the case, I will reveal my source, but only if you share this email with someone else. So it will also help them. What's my source? Well, it's not what, but who. Meet Mira. She's a pretty awesome email marketing who I have gravitated to when it comes to delivering awesome emails. If you're reading this now, it worked. Little smiley face. That smiley face will change to an emoji.
Yes.
I'm going to put that in an emoji because you can put emojis in emails now. Mira has recently launched a new book titled, and then there's the link, where she literally moves out 300 awesome email tips. Regardless of where you are,
So now you would copy that and open up your
my Aweber.
Aweber, and you would post that into the email.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And choose which list you want to send it to.
Correct. Exactly. I would also create a couple tags. Tags are action-based things that happen inside of your list based on people's actions. So if someone clicked on this link, a tag would say, clicked on Mira. If someone clicked on this, it would say, click on book. Right? That way I can segment the list, as I think was it Nancy? Someone was saying, I don't remember her name, and it was watching on YouTube. Hello. That then it goes like, oh, okay, so now I can actually then take I can send a second email saying, hey, I saw you checked out Mira. What do you think? Did you get anything else? Any of her other books? So then it creates that really good level of personalization. Where it goes, they know that I clicked that.
That that they that they what they did.
Big Brother's watching. Yeah.
That makes some people kind of nervous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Jay, how do you know if they forwarded the mail or not? And what is the payout? What's the payback for them to forward the mail?
The forwarding the email is just getting them to share the affiliate link. That's it, but also showing to help people.
But I mean, would there be a way for you to know that they actually shared it?
No.
Not really, huh?
No.
Unless, well, actually, there would be. It'd actually be the tag.
Oh, okay.
The tag, if the tag was fired, meaning it was clicked, and there's no name associated to that would show me that it was forwarded. Yeah.
Got it.
So, but it's just getting them to kind of go like, and the chances are they won't do it, but it's the intention of that is to show that like, hey, listen, is to say, listen, help, help them. You don't need to, and it shows that I'm trying to help people, and that's really what it's all about.
So Jay, I really appreciate what you did here, because it will give everybody a sense of, just how to formulate an email to one of their lists. And there's a number of factors in here that are are repeatable depending on who your audience is and what the issue is and what you want them to do. But there's oh yes, there's you're into the book.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's my Kindle reader here.
Yeah.
So
The question is, how did you? Oh, you're online. I always read my Kindle from my tablet.
yeah. So whenever you have purchased a book and you're on the same sales page on Amazon, you might not see it, but it says because of our film strip might be in the way. But somewhere it'll say read now.
Okay. Right on.
I actually don't remember where it is, but yeah. Oh, there, Kindle there.
So a nice connection there, both in terms of affiliate marketing as well as email marketing techniques. So thank you so much, Jay. I think that was really worth sharing.
You're
So
welcome.
we are at almost 10 after, and I'm conscious that some people have other things that they have to do this morning, or other places to be. But just before I bring us to a close, I really do want to bring in the scrolling or the YouTube comments so that that shows up in our video recording as time goes on. And Kathy Pop, thanks so much for your comments in there. I appreciate them. And just also want to give everybody on the panel here an opportunity to say one last thing if they wish to, as a parting factor. Fred, you always get the last word. You want the last word today?
Unless someone else wants to comment, but I just think it indicates, again, Mira Kotan, how wonderful she is. She is a different thinker. She's not trying to high pressure you. So she's a great source, I find. And thanks to Jay for originally recommending her to us. And I've been following her ever since.
Yeah.
And it just shows you how important it is to choose one methodology and work on that and improve it, because she has so many good ideas. If you get that working, and as she says in the title, you can make money. So rather than going dozens of places and trying to do Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram and just jumping from one to the other, choose one. And email marketing has got a lot of benefits. So I really appreciate a lot of the discussion again today. So thanks a lot.
It's never going away. Email marketing is never ever going to go away. Never.
It's a great place to start if you haven't, rather than others. So
absolutely.
Great topic again. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was
I just want to say one last thing.
Go ahead.
That if you'd like to receive my magical emails, simply subscribe and go to affiliateresources.org.
Jay, why don't you put your link into the chat?
Yeah,
Jay, I have subscribed twice.
Put your link in the chat, Jay.
I figure it's better for posterity in a recorded video. Lasts longer.
Well, that was why I bring the comments in the chat into the video so that they're there. Yes, we are really over. So I really need to. I just want to acknowledge everyone who threw their questions and their reactions, etc., in here, and. Just need to remind everyone that it's important to do what you love with passion. And we shall see you next week. Mm.